So my name is Doug Parker, and I'm a national consultant with Ambit Energy, and today we're going to be talking to you about how to build your business, how to jumpstart your business, and to learn from someone that's done it. So I've promoted to national consultant. If you're someone that is brand new to this business, that just means I've been promoted several times all the way up to the top rank within the company, and I've just got experience, maybe a little more experience than you have if you've just started the business. I'm also a member of the Millionaire Club, which means I've made in excess of $1 million with Ambit Energy, not overnight, but over time, and recently was awarded the Co-Founders Impact Award for really helping others, doing what we're doing here. This is what we do with Ambit, people helping people, no doubt about it. So we're going to continue on through this presentation, and as we kind of get going here, let me get the pulled up. As we kind of continue through the presentation, we're going to go over what it takes to jumpstart your business. Now, I always like to look at this in a couple of different ways. Number one, I like to look at it from the perspective of you're brand new in the business and you're saying, how do I get a quick start in this business? How do I make money? How do I get going as quickly as possible to get my initial investment back? And then how do I get myself into a position where I can actually start making money? Okay, so those are the two things that I always like to deliver whenever I'm doing a training, to get your initial investment back and then to start making additional money in addition to that. So we'll jumpstart that. The other side of the coin is maybe you've been in the business for a while, and maybe it's like that old vehicle that set out, you know, in the cold for a little while, and you go to start it up and it won't start, and you got to jumpstart it. Maybe you're someone that's been sitting on the sidelines. Maybe you've gotten a little cold in the business, and you need a jump start. You need some jumper cables attached to you to get going again, and that's okay. That happens sometimes with this business because it is, for most people, a part-time business, okay? It's a situation where sometimes life's distractions can get in the way. You don't have a boss. You don't have somebody that tells you what time you got to go do Ambit. So with all of that being said, if you need a jump start, this could be for you as well. Now, let's talk about the fundamentals of this business. We've got the written list, we've got the invitation, we've got the presentation, and then we've got the validation. Okay, those are the four fundamental building blocks of the business. A written list, inviting somebody to look at the business, presenting the opportunity, and then validation, where you have a third-party validator. So let's just jump right in and talk about the invitation. What I like to ask people is if they've got 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with access to the internet. That's really all I'm going to ask them, as we schedule the presentation. But I started out by asking them if they're interested in making some extra money, okay? So if you're taking notes right now, I want you just to write down what you might say to someone if you were to ask them if they wanted to make some extra money. If you're in a younger crowd, you might say something like, hey, are you interested in a little side hustle? You might say, are you open to an additional stream of income? You might ask them something like, do you keep your options open when it comes to making extra money? Okay, there's several different things that you can do there, and if you're watching along on the stream, maybe you could put what you say to people in the stream. Maybe you just type that out to let us know what it is that you say to people when you're asking them if they're interested. And we've got several people that are tuned in right now. We've got Zach up in the Northeast, and I know Zach is always inviting people and doing great things. So let us know what it is that you say to folks whenever you invite them, okay? And then once you've invited them and they say, yes, I'm interested, and they're ready to get going, the second thing you're going to do is you're going to have to do a presentation ultimately. But what you want to do is you want to set up some time. You want to set up some time to do that invitation, okay? And to do that presentation, I should say. So what that presentation looks like is I like to use the corporate presentation, but you've got to get it scheduled. So write this down, and if somebody can type these notes in there for me, 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with access to the internet. So I might say to Zach, do you have 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with access to the internet? Okay, that's exactly what I say word for word. People that are on our team that have been trained up and have gone through the motions, 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with access to the internet. Yes, I understand that we've got a 5-minute video. Yes, I understand that with the compensation video, it's about 10 minutes. But if you ask somebody for 5 to 10 minutes, they'll probably give you 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you go over that, then you've kind of ruined it because you've not managed the expectations of what you asked for. They gave it to you, and now you've gone beyond that. Ask for 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with access to the internet. That way it's uninterrupted, so they're not driving down the road. They're not having kids yelling in the background. You've got internet access where you can show them the presentation, and you've got 20 to 30 minutes, which is more than enough time to show the presentation and do a validation call. That's the steps to that, and that's the reason why we ask for that. Now, next up, you're going to see, we'll move on to the presentation as we kind of alluded to. Now, the presentation can be done in multiple different ways. You've, of course, got your Ambit websites, which is what I always recommend because that's what you get from corporate when you start the business. Now, sometimes there's some personalized videos that may be for your personal team, or there's some other options, and those are okay. I just like to start everybody out by what Ambit provides as part of the program when they sign up, okay? There's also the Success from Home magazines. You've got luncheons. Hey, you know what, guys? We're in Texas here, okay? So I don't know if this pandemic thing is over yet or not, but what I do know is that today the mask order was lifted. There's a little controversy around that, but our hopes and prayers are that it's starting to slow down, and there are things that will put us in a position maybe in the next few weeks, the next few months, that will start drying up, and hopefully it'll be a safer nation and a safer world without the pandemic going on, and we can get back to doing some of these things. So I want to start mentioning them again. So we've got things like luncheons where you can bring people to a luncheon and sit down and explain the presentation. You can do small group meetings, one-on-ones or two-on-ones where you got two people that meet with someone. You also got the in-home meeting. So there's a lot of things that are going to start firing back up. Now, we always want you to be safe. I want to definitely prerequisite by saying that, depending on what market you're in and those types of things. But just be aware that as it becomes safe again, that some of those options will come back on the table. All right. In addition to that, we've got, the things to ask a person whenever they're going through that decision-making process, okay? You want to ask for the decision. There's so many people that I've seen in the years past that they'll do the presentation and then they never really ask them to join the business. They went through and put a written list together. They invited them. They presented to them. They did all of these fundamentals so well. They got them to actually look at it, and then they don't ask them, do they want to join? So number one thing that you want to write down is what was your favorite part? Number two, you want to ask them, what else did you see that you liked? Number three, you want to ask them, do you see how this makes sense? That question right there is kind of the pendulum, where the pendulum can swing one way or another. They'll either say, yeah, it does make sense, or they might ask some questions. And if they do ask questions, that's teeing up the next part, the validation, perfectly. But with that being said, hey, do you see how this makes sense? And then if they say yes to that, they're affirmative to that, then you just jump right into, well, let's get you started. Hey, how do you want your checks to be made out to you? What's your legal name? What address do you want them to be mailed to? And you start enrolling that person through the process. You want them to ask questions. That means that they're engaged with the conversation. And if they ask questions, that gives you that perfect opportunity, again, to validate. I do want to share with you that validation is a big part of this business. In the first couple years I was in the business, I didn't think I needed validation. I felt like I could wrap them up and close the deal without that. The problem is that in this business, it's not what is effective that matters, it's what duplicates. Okay, write that down. It doesn't matter what's effective, it matters what duplicates. This is a business, a monkey see, monkey do business, okay? You just do it over and over again and make it so easy everybody else can do it, but you have to have that duplication. So when they ask questions, that's when it tees up perfectly the next portion, which is the validation. So validation starts out with basically a three-way call. What you want to do is when you're going through that process, unless they go fully through the enrollment and get signed up and get started, no matter what the prospect says, you always want to respond back with, hold on for a second, okay? So write that down, hold on for a second. That is very, very valuable. Hold on for a second. If you can get them to hold on for a second, and they will, it's just like whenever your phone rings and you're talking to somebody and you're chit-chatting along and you go, hey, can you hold on for a second? And you just put them on hold. They never ask you why. I've never had anybody ever in my life ask me why. They just go, okay, and I just put them on mute for a second. It could be to take a deep breath, to regain my composure of what's going on. It can be to do the three-way call. It can be to do a number of things. But basically what you want to do is you want to have your three-way call person that's going to do that for you, the validator. You want to have them teed up to where they are ready to go. Maybe you've asked them a few hours before. Can they do a three-way call for you? I'll send out text messages all the time. Hey, can you do a 3WC? Can you do a three-way call for me at 2:15? Maybe I'm showing the plan, STP. I'm showing the plan at 2 o'clock. And I know it's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes for me to talk to them, get the video started, and then watch an 11-minute video. So I'll tell them at 2:15, can you do a three-way call for me? If they say yes, that they can do it, then what I've done is I've put them on the schedule as, for instance, Jared or Faisal or maybe Carlo or someone to that nature might be doing my three-way call for me. So what I'll do is I'll put them on hold. I'll three-way call in the person that's going to do that validation for me. Take a deep breath, and then what I'll do is I'll bring, let's say, Carlo onto the line to do that three-way call. Now, one other little thing that I like to do is when I start playing the videos, I'll send a text message to Carlo and say, hey, Carlo, I just started the videos, so that he's aware that in about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to need him to do that three-way call for me, okay? That way they're prepared for that. So I get on there, I got both parties on the line, and then I get back on and I say, hey, you don't want to call somebody a prospect, but the new prospective team member, so it might be Jane. And so you say, hey, Jane, I just wanted to make really good use of your time. And the reason why I put you on hold for a moment was because I wanted to get Carlo on the line. And Carlo's got a lot of experience in this business. I just wanted to make the best use of your time. You had something you wanted a little more clarity on. And so, hey, would you ask that again real quick, and I'll connect you guys. Carlo, this is Jane, and I am really excited about having Jane on the team, but she needed some clarification on a few things, and I just wanted to make sure we made the best use of her time. So Jane meet Carlo, Carlo meet Jane. Hey Jane, will you say that one more time, what you asked me a minute ago? And then I put myself on mute. Literally, I put myself on mute, okay? Somebody, put some notes in there and says, put yourself on mute, okay? Because I know me, and I know a lot of you too, okay? What you want to do is you want to go, Carlo, tell her about the free electricity, okay? Or tell her about the 7 levels. I mean, you want to jump in and you don't feel like he's covered it yet. But the reality is you need to let him or her, whoever's doing your validation, do the whole validation. You put yourself on mute. You're putting yourself on mute because it's disrespectful to interrupt them, number one. Number two, it messes up their flow. And number three, you're always modeling for the next generation. So you've now trained them, the new prospective people coming in, the new team members, how they need to interact with the upline or someone doing a validation for them. You've shown them the way to do it because, again, I said it's a monkey see, monkey do business, right? So they see you doing it, and then that's what they start to do. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so with that being said, the one thing you heard me say a few times was, hey, Jane wanted a little more clarity on this. There was something, hey, Jane, would you ask that again? What I didn't ever say was at the end of that 3 different statements that I made, I didn't ask her if she had any questions. I didn't say, hey, Jane, you got any questions? And here's the reason why. Questions can be the death sentence of this business for you. And what I mean by that, or you saying that, I should say, you want them to ask questions, but you don't want to tell them they need to ask questions, okay? Because some people don't have questions. It makes sense to them. They want to join. They want to get going. They like the idea of it. And what you just did was you said to them, do you have any questions? What they turn around and do is go, no, I don't have any questions, but what I will do is I'll go do some research and I'll get back with you. And then they'll research the most negative stuff they could possibly ever find, complaints and all this stuff, and you'll never hear from them again. That's just the reality of how the world works. So you just want to ask those 3 questions. What was your favorite part? What else did you like? Do you see how this makes sense? And if it's affirmative on all that stuff, hey, let's get you started. Go through the enrollment process. If you're going through the enrollment process, send a text message to the person that was going to do the 3-way call and say they're signing up right now. I'm going to call you in just a few minutes to do a welcome call. You still want to do a welcome call. You still want to do the 3-way call. It's just a 3-way call to welcome them to the team as opposed to a 3-way call where you're asking them to validate. Okay, so you're still going to do the 3-way call whether they sign up or they don't sign up, or they have questions or things along those lines. So as we kind of continue on, we've got the written list, invitation, presentation, validation. And that's kind of how that process works. I didn't spend a lot of time on written list. That's pretty obvious. And you put names on a piece of paper, and you just want to get the most people on the names on the piece of paper as quickly as you can. I definitely recommend getting 20 people on there as soon as possible, and then going through those. One question I always like to ask those people in the very beginning when they first sign up is, who is the first person that you thought of? Who do you think would sign up right now just because you did? Let's get that name and number. Let's call them real quick. That's a really good thing to do because they've always got somebody in mind. They got their brother-in-law. They got their cousin. They got somebody that they were thinking, man, they are going to kill it in this business. Let's talk to them. Let's let the person that brought the new team in Braun, let's let them talk to them because you've got the most experience out of that too, right? So let's help them have their first win as opposed to them going out there and doing it all on their own.